Hey everybody, it's Kevin here at Classic.
Exhibits. I am the executive vice president of the company, for those who don't know me. And I'm here today with Katina, who I will let introduce herself. But we're going to be talking to you a little bit about our upcoming trip to Europe for EuroShop.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes, I am Katina Rigall, and I am the creative director here at Classic Exhibits. And I'm very excited to be attending EuroShop again. This will be my fourth time.
I was just thinking about that. I think this will be my fourth, but I had a gap year in there. But we're pretty excited. For those of you who have been, you know how busy that event is. For those of you who don't, we hope to give you a little bit of a preview of what we're looking forward to seeing. We have a very busy schedule while we're there. The last time we attended 3 years ago, both Katina and I were honored to be asked to be judges from the US for the design competition that is put on by Exhibitor magazine. And we were once again asked to do that for this event. So um, honestly, it's probably the best way to see the entire show because you get to go through every single hall and you get to interact with several different exhibitors that maybe you wouldn't normally interact with. Um, and then we have, we'll be there on behalf of EDPA as well. EDPA has not only just an exhibit there, but we're helping co-sponsor the EDPA pub crawl, which is a great gathering of all the EDPA members who have traveled over from the US and from Canada. And then typically we join up with members from IFAS and other associations in Europe just for one big night of networking in a restaurant there in Dusseldorf, which will be a ton of fun. And it always is a ton of fun and way more neat than you can ever possibly imagine. But Katina, what are you looking forward to the most about the event this year?
Well, it's always a big highlight because the show only happens every 3 years, right? And it's a gigantic show, like 16 different show halls within this one show. So it's almost like you're attending 16 shows all in one. Um, what I'm most excited about is, of course, seeing all the new trends that we invariably always notice when we go to EuroShop. I'll be taking tons of pictures and videos that we'll bring back and share with our distributor network. I started reviewing the design trends after my first time at EuroShop in 2014, and there was so much interest in what I was sharing on Instagram and with social media that we started to do even more of that and make it even more of a formal presentation. So um, I'm excited to see everything that we're going to see in all 16 show halls. And you know how a lot of the stuff we see at EuroShop tends to migrate to the US over the following year or two. It's exciting to kind of be ahead of the curve and also just to see how these trends are evolving over time. It's just super interesting.
So with that, US shows are much different than European shows. European shows have a lot of different rules, regulations. You see a lot more raised floors. They have longer times to set things up, which would be a dream here. There's no drayage, which everybody likes. But what are some of the exhibit builds that you find most, or elements of exhibit builds that you find most applicable for the US market?
There's a lot of things. So there's always a lot to see with regard to materials, what materials are being used, the colors and the patterns that are being employed in the structure and the graphics, shapes. So shapes are a huge thing that I'm going to emphasize a lot, and I have a few examples to show you guys here in a second. But shapes um, within the structure, like how are things built, and then also in the details, those are heavily trendworthy. They change very much from year to year each time we've been at EuroShop. So lighting as well, there's been a lot of progress with LED lighting and the technology and how flexible it is. Technology in general has evolved, gotten much more interactive over the years. LED screens, tiles were in almost every single booth at the last EuroShop we attended. And so we've seen that kind of migrating as well. So all of those things, although maybe handled slightly differently in Europe, are applicable here in the US. And because we have a full custom shop as well as modular systems at Classic, it's interesting to go ahead and interpret those designs here for the US market and think about how to make them lighter weight and more modular, easier to ship. And I'm going to share right now some examples. I think this would be a good time.
Absolutely.
All right.
While she's doing that, I can say one of the things that I've really noticed in particular coming off of the last one is if you look at some of the design competition winners that we had over the past 2 and 3 years here at Classic, along with our distributor partners, so many of them have elements that design elements that we saw in exhibits 3 years ago at EuroShop.
Right. Okay, so here's a quick little recap that you will enjoy, I think. In 2014, for example, there were lots of angles. Everything was angled, angled, angled. You see it in the patterns. You see it with the structures, the walls being angled at different degrees. Also, there was a lot of this faceted shape, sometimes in 3 dimensions, sometimes flat. And then along with the angles, there were a lot of the tightly radiused corners. And then in 2020, one of the big things that we noticed were a lot of this peaked roof shape. That was very, very prominent. There was a lot of Edison bulbs as far as lighting goes. And there's always a lot of sort of basic shapes like cubes and circles or spheres. And it's fun to see how those are interpreted and turned on their end. Literally, it evolves quite a bit from year to year. And then in 2023, for example, so this was the last EuroShop before 2026, there was a huge emphasis on arches, or like the pill shape, and sort of freeform natural topographical type shapes. You can see that the lighting, even like the way that LED light rope has evolved, was represented well and went along with that trend really well. There was a lot of rope and natural sort of basket type elements. This is one example that showed it really well. Natural cardboard tubes being used as part of the structure, which have a really sustainable edge to them. And then I want to show you really quickly, when we came back from some of those shows, what we interpreted those designs into. With the peaked roof, you can see really clearly here this example. This is our Symphony line. We had quite a few other shapes of panels in our Symphony line, which is a toolless, very portable, lightweight, very easy to set up exhibit system that a lot of clients can do completely on their own. But we came and interpreted that with the peaked roof shape. With the arch shape and the pill shape, you can see we found multiple ways to interpret that. Here it's a full custom wood build. And then here it's our extrusion with backlit LED to make these shelving units. And so this is, again, like a really lightweight, portable way that we incorporated those shapes and those trends that we saw. And, full custom wood build, not necessarily as lightweight, but there's still a need for that as well. So we found that there was a market for these shapes, and they are really sought after and have been received really, really well by our distributor network as well as the clients that they bring to us.
100%. We have incorporated so much of this into the design over the last 3 years. It's been fun to see. That's honestly one of the most exciting things for me is going and kind of just seeing what's new and what we get to apply in the upcoming years into what we build, whether it's a small exhibit or it's a large custom. But I do have an interesting question for you, because I know some of our distributor partners are making their way over, and some others that we know, but they're not going to necessarily be there for the entire week. And the show is so massive,
Right.
as you shared before. So suppose you have a short amount of time and you want to go into one of those 16 or 17 halls and get the biggest bang for your buck for the day you're going to be there, the day and a half you're going to be there. What's your advice? Like where should people go first, and where are they going to see the most?
Right. Well, I am so glad you asked that question. Here, I even have a visual for you guys. I recommend, and I just looked it up, this is going to be in hall number 12. I recommend heading straight for the Designer's Village. If you want to get a feel for the design trends, what's really interesting about this area, okay, these first 3 pictures at the top of the slide are from 2020. And remember, that's the year that there was a lot of the peaked roof trend going on. So this in the Designer's Village, these different design firms have sort of a little small plot of land. I want to say it's around 10 by 10, maybe 15 by 15, and they all have sort of similar design conventions that they're required to stay within. So the peaked roof, or like these intersecting canopy pieces, is what the requirement was that year. But the way that they incorporate color and trends and really set off their own company and show off what they're capable of makes it like a not to be missed area. Now, the rest of these designs on the rest of the slide, these are all from 2023. So you can see there's such a huge variety. Like this year, it was or 2023 rather, it was a very cubistic style, and each space had its own like LED square light over the top to really delineate these pieces from the others. But you saw like a lot of the maximalist bright colors. That's one of the trends in the color and pattern that year, or like color blocking with the natural wood and the white and the black. We're using corrugated cardboard as a design element. The cutouts in the natural wood here, the lenticular wall. This was a really fun little booth, and they really pack a lot of punch. They pack a lot of great design elements into each one of these little, essentially like a vignette, that's designed by a design house that's really there to put themselves out there as a forward-thinking design company, right? So in a very small area, you can see these overhead signs that say Designer's Village. Like this is essentially like a pavilion. In a very small area, you can go from these exhibit to exhibit and see most of the trends all in that one spot.
And one of the coolest things is I find anyways, is going through that particular area is you have an opportunity to speak fairly in depth with the people who came up with the concept and the why and what their thought process was and what their inspiration was. But like I said before, these trends, typically we see them there, and then over the course of the next 3 years, we see them make their way into the exhibit, the U.S. Trade show floor, design and come to life, which is really awesome. So it's always been a super valuable time for us to learn and see and get inspiration on kind of what we're hopefully going to be bringing to our distributor partner network in the years to come. So our goal always is to come back with lots and lots of ideas, and then as quickly as possible share those with you. So there will be a follow-up to this when we get back at some point in March, where we will have, I believe, a webinar
Yes.
that
Yes.
everybody will be able to tune into, ask questions. We'll go through pictures and kind of descriptions of some of the interesting things that we've seen or that we saw, but also an opportunity for people to kind of just ask us general questions also about, some of the design looks and feels that we saw while we were there. So really excited not just to go, but really excited almost more so for me to come back and be able to apply a lot of what we see and learn over the course of the week that we're there.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things to come back and sort of parse through all of the things that we saw. And sometimes I'll even start to see more trends when I get all my pictures downloaded and start to go through it, looking at what the most important things are to share with our distributor network. But I'm going to take the information that we get over the course of 4 days that we're at this show and really bring it in and organize it so that I can clearly show you some of the best examples of the different things, the different trends that we are seeing, as like I said, with regard to color, textures, patterns, structure, shapes. And it's fun because some of these are going to automatically be relatable to designs for specific clients. And then, as a designer, I hope your designers will watch our webinar trend report, because if you are a designer in this industry, like some clients don't have as massive of a built out branding guideline yet, or necessarily sort of their own flavor, but they want something new, they want something different. So this is sort of the perfect inspiration to bring in and give them something exciting and new and help them start to find those things that can be their signature. And that's one of my favorite parts. So I'm very excited to bring that information back.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you for listening and tuning in to this video. And we look forward to sharing more when we get back in March. Until then, we will see you guys very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.